Good day everyone. This is a video report presentations of the Group 6 and we will have to discuss about the strategy implementations. We are now come to the second part of the key components of the strategy, which is the strategic implementations. But before we proceed to our topic, let us have a short review about the strategy. Now, what is a strategy? The strategy is a plan or a method for achieving a goal or result, especially over a long period of time. So the strategy is not just being applicable to the company, to the business organizations, but it can also applicable to any aspects of life. Even to us as a student, we can also apply the strategy. Let us come now to our topic, the strategy implementations. In achieving the strategic goals and objectives, a chosen plan of actions is needed to be rendered to an organization or organizational actions. Or in other words, the strategic implementations comes alive to a successful of strategic objectives. Or it needed to be converted into the actions taken by the business organizations or company and response with external environmental factors such as the public demands and the consumer expectations. Now, all of the business organizations, even small or large, they are all considerate about the public demands. They need to have a observations of what is the products is more trending nowadays, and they are also considerate about the consumer expectations. They need to consider about the consumer expectations, the perspectives of the products or the service. Organizational members are all affected by strategy executions or implementations because all of the employees, all of the parts of the organizations in strategy implementations are all required to be part of it. Now, in a strategy formulation process, people is not being involved. They do not understand or appreciate the idea of getting involved in formulating the strategy. They may not have the chance also to share the ideas and work implementing the plan. They do not have a strong-hearted, but instead, they have an hesitance. So in other words, the people or the employees of the organizations are not involved in the strategy formulations. With all the things or way done with a strong or established from the previous habits, the company heads and the rest of the staff, which is not aware and lack of dedications, can possibly trying to weaken the strategy implementations. The effective implementation, which may be the cause. Number one is successful strategy formulations are not giving an assurance of having a successful implementations results. So, yung lahat na mga bagay na nagawa ng maayos na pagplanuhan ay hindi nagbibigay ng assurance na magkakaroon ng magandang resulta sa isang kumpanya. And number two, different types of sizes of business has its own different way or deal in implementing strategies. So, yung iba't ibang uri ng isang business or company ay mayroon ding iba't ibang paraan kung paano gagawa ng sariling implementations. To distinguish the difference between the strategy formulations and the strategy implementations. Now, strategy formulations versus the strategy implementations. Now, in strategy formulations, positioning forces before the actions. So, finding the strength or the best way first before the actual doing or before doing it. So, inaalam muna nila kung ano yung mga bagay-bagay na nagpapalakas bago nila ito gawin. And strategy implementations, managing force during the actions. They get along to the strength or the best during actual doings or actual happenings. So, binibigay na nila yung kanilang pinaka malalakas o pinaka best sa kanilang mga ginagawa. And strategy formulations, they only focus on effectiveness. They focus on the organization's capability or the ability of producing a desired result or the desired output. So, binibigyan nila ng atensyon sa kanilang organisasyon yung abilidad o kapasidad kung paano magkakaroon o magpuproduce at magkakaroon ng magandang resulta ang kanilang kumpanya. While in strategy implementation, they only focus on efficiency, focus on the measure of productivity and how tasks are performed, or performing tasks well, successfully without waste. So, kumbaga, binibigyan nila ng atensyon kung paano malalaman at kung paano maibibigay ang magandang resulta, magandang gawain nang hindi sinasayang ang anumang bagay. And strategy formulations, they are primary intellectual. Essentials with the ability to think and to understand the ideas and or informations. Meron silang kaalaman kung paano maiintindihan at magkakaroon ng ideya sa mga bagay-bagay. And strategy implementations, they are primarily operational, essentials and working or running or on a current functioning. So, ito yung kaalaman sa kanilang pagpapatakbo o pagkakaroon ng kaalaman sa pagtatrabaho na mayroong kahulugan. Next is the strategy formulations and requires good intuitive and analytical skills. Need a good and ability to know or understand things without any proof or evidence. So, kinakailangan lang nila na magkakaroon ng abilidad o kaalaman sa isang bagay kahit hindi nila alam kung ano yung nangyayari. Now, in strategy implementations, they require special motivational and leadership skills. They need a particular inspirations or process, initiates and maintains goal-oriented behaviors and leadership skills. Next is the strategy formulations, requires coordinations among few people. So, nangangailangan lang sila ng kaunting koordinasyon sa kanilang organisations, while in strategy implementations requires coordinations among many people. Need to have a combined efforts with a large number of people or member of the organizations or the collaboration effort of all the members of the company or the employee. Factors that support strategy implementations. Factors meaning contribute and the supports meaning help. So these are the factors that supports the strategy implementations. Number one is the people. The questions here is, do you have enough people to implement the strategy, or do you have the right people in the organizations to implement the strategies? So in other words, the people has a big rule in the company or organizations because they are all part of the implementing process, and they can also part of the implementing or making plan. So the people has a commitment and a big thing to be secured because they are all implementers. Make sure that they are all involved with the tasks or implementations of strategy. So the people needs to be on this category, which is it can help to the people to be productive. Conduct necessary trainings. All of the employees is trained to be part of the companies. Next is the seminars. The seminars helps of the people to be more productive and to know more about what is the important in this workplace. And next is the workshops. The workshops also helps the people to be better equipped and provide and to be competent. Being competent is knowledgeable and skills oriented. The next one is the resources. Resources is allocation of resources is one of the basic activities and strategy implementations. This refers to both finance and non-financial resources. So in allocating of resources is one of the basic activity strategies implementations refers to both financials and non-financial activities. So in financial, it is all about money matters. Next one is the structure. In structure, the organizational structure must be clear-cut with the lines and authority and responsibility defines an understanding of a hierarchy or chains of command. So in structures, it aids in the effective planning of projects. So the hierarchy is the rank and the status of authority. So lahat naman ng company ay mayroong organizational structure. Doon po kasi magbabari if ano yung mga positions or ano yung function ng isang employee. The employees on lowest positions of the organizational structures must cooperate or communicate with the supervisor or top management, vice versa. They must know how or who is accountable to or who is responsible for. So based on my experience, as I worked before, lahat ng concerns ng isang empleyado, lalo na yung mga nasa mababang positions, they need to consult it to the supervisor or they need to consult it to the higher positions of the company. The next one is the systems. Systems, tools, and capabilities are in place to facilitate in the implementations of the strategies. So, kumbaga, the systems is yun ang magiging rules or guides ng isang kumpanya o ng mga empleyado kung paano gagawin o kung ano yung magiging function nito sa kanila o kung paano ito magpuproduce ng isang effective o successful products. Next is the culture. Culture refers to the organizational culture or the overall atmosphere within the company. If the organization ensures that the employees are involved in the strategic process, definitely the employees feel important and comfortable in their respective roles. So, if the companies give the assurance to the employees that they are all part of the strategic implementations, they can also give the best part of it or the best part of them, which is the commitment to the company. Management perspectives. In management perspective, we have the strategies and the division functional managers or the strategy implementation. In strategies, the strategy formulations. The strategy is someone who is responsible for creating and carrying out a strategy to achieve success. They are all skilled at planning, analyzing, and implementing and evaluating. The strategy formulation is a process of establishing goals and determining the proper plan of action to achieve these goals. While in division function managers, this is a strategy implementations. The strategy implementations process of putting a strategic plan into action to achieve business goals. Management's issue central to strategy implementations. So management is the coordinations or the administrations of tasks to achieve a goal. Number 1 is the establishing annual objectives. Establishing annual objectives is the goals or organization goals set to achieve in order to reach long-term objectives. So the objectives is the aims or the goals of or the plans of actions of the company. Next is devising policies. Devising policies, process of with and deciding a set of ideas or plans that will be used to make decisions. These are the set of plans that the companies or the organizations need to do to make a decisions. Next is the allocating resources. The process of assigning available resources to a project or task to achieve desired outcomes. Next is altering existing organizational structure. They need to have the changes and planning or to have the structural structure. Next is the restructuring or re-engineering. The process of redesigning to improve performance or business process like software application or software systems or the products. Restructuring is the significant changes about the operation structures and finances. Next is the revising reward and incentive plans. Revising is the re-examining or the reward or and incentive plans. Most of the companies are given the time to the employees to work very hard, and they can also give an assurance to give the incentive or the reward. Next is minimizing resistance to change. They need to give the lesson or the lesson of the fight or the lesson way to stop the changes. Next is the matching managers with strategy. Next is developing a strategy supportive culture. In developing strategy and supportive cultures, they need to develop some of the strategy to protect or to have the assurance and the company cultures or the employee. Adapting production's operational or operation process. Next is developing an effective human resource functions. The HR department has its obligations or has its part to develop most of the effective way. Next is the downsizing and furloughing as needed. And downsizing, this is the practice of reducing a company's workforce because in some ways the other companies is needed to have the termination process of the other employees. And next is the furloughing. The furloughing is the act of temporary laying of an employee or granting a leave of absence.
So what is an annual objectives? Annual objectives are high-level goals that an organization sets for a calendar year to help ensure strategy implementation success. So an annual objectives play a critical role in strategy implementation. There are policies. What is policies? Policies are designed to guide the behavior of managers in relation to the pursuit of achievement of strategies and objectives. Policies are instrument for strategy implementation. Policy is a deliberate system of guidelines to guide decisions and achievement rational outcome. So we have here the Cohn's and O'Donnell principles. Number 1 principle, policy should reflect objectives. So policies are guidelines to thinking and decision making. They reflect and interpret objectives and guide decisions to achieve the objectives. Second principle, policies should be consistent. So policies should be uniform and compatible across all levels of an organization so that they can be followed without conflict. The third principle is policy should be flexible. So policies should be able to adapt to changing needs such as customer needs, employee expectations, legal requirements, or regulatory requirements. The fourth principle is policies need to be explained, taught, and comprehended. It emphasizes the importance of clear communication and understanding when it comes to policies within an organization, institution, or community. The last principle is the policies need to be examined. Policies should be regularly examined to ensure they are being implemented correctly, are effective, and are meeting the needs of the organizations or its stakeholders. There are 7 benefits of formal written policies. First, they are ensuring that the policy is effective and that it aligns with the organization's goals. Second, as a result, when everyone understands the policy in the same way, it minimizes the chances of errors, conflicts, and disputes arising non-differing interpretations. In essence, clarity in policy communication leads to better compliance and another operations. Number 3, when addressing issues or conflicts, there is a greater chance that the resolution will be equitable and uniform. Number 4 means that the policy, once created or established, will be delivered or implemented exactly as they were originally intended, without any changes, modifications, or alternatives. The last benefit refers to the 2 key goals of organizational policies, the indirect control and the organizational coordination. First, the indirect control. This implies that policies are designed to influence behavior and outcomes without direct intervention. Instead of enforcing rules strictly, indirect control might involve creating incentives, setting standards, or providing guidance that encourages individuals or organizations to set in correct ways. Second is the organizational coordination. It refers to the alignment and collaboration among different departments, teams, or organizations to ensure common goal. Come now to hierarchy of policies. First is the company strategy. To achieve our goals for sales productivity and expansion, we will buy a network of retail establishments. So there is supporting policies. Number 1 is every store will start or open at 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. from Monday to Saturday. Second, monthly control data reports are required from all shops. Third, every retailer is required to contribute 5% of their monthly gross sales. Last and the fourth, the company handbook's standards pricing policies must be followed by all stores. Next is the divisional objectives. From $10 million in 2009 to $15 million in 2010, it improves the unit's income. So here is the supporting principles. Number 1, every salesperson in this division is required to provide a weekly activity report that details their calls made, miles traveled, units sold, dollar volume sold, and new accounts created. Second, this division will provide its personnel a Christmas bonus equal to 5% of its gross earnings. Third, so according to just-in-time production strategy, stock levels help in warehouses. Fourth, would be reduced by 30% starting in January 2010. This approach may lower productivity control, freeing up money for greater marketing activities. Last is the production department objectives. From 20,000 units in 2009 to 30,000 units in 2010 measures up the manufacturing rate. So these are the supporting policies. First, personnel will have the opportunity to work up to 20 hours of overtime each week. Second, all workers who don't miss a day of work in a given year will get perfect attendance certificate worth $100 starting in January 2010. Third and last, New equipment must be rented rather than purchased starting in January 2010. So it could reduce the liabilities, the tax liabilities, and thus allow more funds to be invested.
Hello everyone. So this is Miss Agnes. My topic is issues that might necessitate a management policy. Number 1 is to provide in-depth or basic management development seminars and workshops. So this is a policy related to offering management training and educational opportunities for employees. Number 2 is to what extent should staff training be centralized or decentralized for recruitment? So this is a policy that determines if training should be managed at a central level by headquarters or locally at regional offices. Example, a multinational company may centralize training at its headquarters for consistency or decentralize it to accommodate regional differences. And number 3 is, number 3 na ba? Yeah. So, to utilize newspaper, university campuses, and or job fair for recruitment. Example is, a company might decide to recruit through job fairs at universities and use online platform for interact talent. Next is to employ from the outside or promote from inside. A policy on whether to hire externally or promote internally for vacant positions. Example, a company may adopt an internal promotion first policy to encourage employee loyalty or choose to hire externally for fresh perspectives. Next is to advance based on performance or years of service. A policy that specifies whether promotion should be based on performance, seniority, or a combination of both. Example, a company might emphasize performance-based promotions, rewarding high achievers over those who have simply worked longer. Next is to connect executive pay to long-term and or yearly goals. A policy that links executive compensation to company performance or specific target. Next is to provide benefits to many or few personnel. A policy that determines the scope of employee benefits such as health insurance, retirement plans, or bonuses. Example, a company might offer full benefit to all employee or restrict certain benefits to senior executive or specific departments. Next is to engage in indirect or indirect negotiations with labor unions. A policy about how the company will interact with labor unions either directly through formal negotiations or indirectly through intermediaries or third parties. Example, a company may choose to handle negotiation directly with union leaders or hire an internal consultant to facilitate talks. Next is to assign responsibility for major purchases or to keep this power centrally controlled. A policy that determines whether decision making for major purchases should be decentralized or departments or remains centralized with top management. Example, a company may centralize all large capital expenditures at the headquarters or allow department heads to approve purchases with a specific budget. Next is to limit overtime work. So example, a company might implement a policy to avoid excessive overtime due to its potential impact on employees' burnout and labor costs. Next is to determine if a supply or merchandise is high or low safety stock. So this policy related to inventory management, deciding whether to maintain high or low levels of stock to avoid shortages or excess inventory. Example, a retail business might set a policy for maintaining a safety stock of popular item to ensure that consistent availability without overstocking. Next is utilizing a single or multiple suppliers. A policy on whether the company should rely on supplier for materials and goods for multiple suppliers to diversify risk. Example, a manufacturing company might use multiple suppliers to avoid dependency on a single vendor and ensure a stable supply chain. And next is to purchase, lease, or rent brand new production machinery. So this policy on the approach of acquiring new machinery, whether to buy, lease, or rent it. Next is to heavily or moderately emphasize quality control. So example, a company might establish stringent quality checks or moderate procedures depending on the industry and product type. Next is to create standards for many or just a few projects. Example, a construction company may set high standards for safety on all projects but only apply certain standards to large-scale projects. And next is to work a single, double, or triple shift. So this policy regarding the scheduling or work shift depending on the operational needs of the businesses. Example, a manufacturing plant might run 3 shifts to increase production capacity or optional for a single shift during slower periods. And next is to prevent exploiting insider knowledge for private benefit. So this policy to prevent employees from using confidential company information for personal financial gain. Next is to prevent sexual harassment. So example of this is a company may have a strict zero tolerance policy for sexual harassment and provide training on recognizing and preventing such behavior. Next is to prevent smoking at work. A policy regarding smoking in the workplace, often aiming to create a healthier environment and comply with local regulations. And next is to prevent insider trading. A policy to prevent employees or insiders from trading stock based on confidential information about the company. And lastly is to prevent moonlighting. So this policy that address whether employees are allowed to take on additional jobs outside or their main employment. Example, a company may prohibit employees from working other jobs that could cause a conflict or interest or affect their performance at the primary job. So that's all about issues that might necessitate a management policy. So next is altering existing organizational structure by Alfred Chandler's Strategy Structure Relationship. First is new strategy is formulated. Organization develop a new strategy to address changing environments or opportunities. Next is new administrative problems emerge. Existing organizational structure struggles to support the new strategy, leading to administrative challenges. Number 3 is organizational performance declines. Inefficiency and misalignments between strategy and structures hinder organizational performance. And next is new organizational structure is established. Organization adapts its structure to align with the new strategy addressing administrative problems. And last is organizational performance improves. Alignment This alignment between strategy and structure enhances efficiency, effectiveness, and overall performance. And the next is symptoms of an ineffective organizational structure. Number one. So number one is overlay complex management structure. This is too many management layers causing slow decision. Example, General Motor Trade had 30 plus layers slowing innovation. And number two is excessive meeting attendance. Too many unnecessary meetings wasting time. Number three is cross-department disputes. So this is departments fighting instead of collaborating. Example, Apple iPhone team struggle with international conflicts. And number four is too large span of control. So manager overwhelmed, unable to supervise effectively. Example, LCC store manager had too many direct reports. Number five is unachieved objectives. So this is the unrealistic goals lacking clear direction. Example, the iPhone failed to new variant of iPhone launch. Number 6 is declining performance, decreased revenue, market share loss. Example, the iPhone bankruptcy. Number 7 is losing ground to rivals, falling behind competitors. So, example ulit, the iPhone delayed smartphone responses. Number 8 is low productivity metrics. So, low revenue, earnings per employee, manager. And that's it.
Good day everyone, especially to our teacher, Ma'am April Luzon po. And this is my topic about our report, Group 6 Strategy Implementation. So, my topic is all about basic types of organizational structure. So first we have functional structure. Functional structure refers to an organizational design that groups employees based on their specialized skills, expertise, or functions. So the next po is the divisional structure. The divisional structure is an organizational design where a company is divided into separate divisions or business units, each responsible for a specific product, service, market, or geographic region. However, this structure also has disadvantages compared to functional structure. Divisional is costlier. It has duplication of function activities, required skilled management, forced and elaborate control system. Competition among divisions can become intense, limited idea sharing, and unfair treatment among divisions. So this one naman po is the about strategic business unit. It's all about connecting din po siya sa topic namin. So sa strategy implementation po. And also we have most important po is matrix. So, ito naman po tayo sa restructuring and re-engineering. First, we have restructuring. Restructuring refers to the process of recognizing or redesigning a company's internal structure, operation, or finances to improve efficiency, reduced cost, and enhanced competitiveness. So, also next we have number 2, re-engineering. So, re-engineering ay isang komprehensibong pagbabago sa mga proseso ng negosyo, istruktura ng organisasyon o sistema upang makamit ang malalaking pagpapabuti ng efficiency, produktibidad, kalidad at epektibidad sa gastos. So, the next po is revising rewards and incentive programs. Example ko dito po is gantimpala sa pagbebenta. So, kunyari, ang mga empleyado ay na makakamit ang target sa pagbebenta ay na makakatanggap ng bonus na 5,000. And the example po nito is kumbaga po sa about product or pagbebenta. So, di lang po mag-work yung mga nagtatrabaho, kumbaga may extra din silang bonus, nasa 5,000 po yun, and depende po yun sa nagpapasweldo or nagmamanage po ng isang company. So, the next naman po is managing resistance to change. Managing resistance to change refers to the process of identifying, understanding, and addressing the concerns and opposition of individuals or groups when implementing organizational change. So, below our waist, text po is below our waist and means for altering an organization culture. First, number 1 is recruitment. Number 2, training. Number 3, transfer. Number 4, promotion. Number 5, restructuring. Number 6, re-engineering. Number 7, role modeling. Number 8, positive reinforcement. Number 9, mentoring. So, kung i-apply po natin to sa strategic implementation, so we have 9, altering organizational culture. So, makakatulong din po ito, kunyari sa company, kung i-apply mo po ito lahat ng nabanggit po dito sa report ko, and kumbaga po is mapapabuti yung papatakbo ng company or organisasyon na inyo pong binuo. So, revising mission and or vision. First, redesigning physical space facades. Second, altering reward system. Third, altering organizational policies, procedure, practices. So, move na po tayo dito sa production, operation concerns, and second, human resource concern. So, other functional issues, marketing issues. Marketing issues refer to problems or challenges that arise during the planning, execution, or evaluation of marketing strategies and tactics. So, nakakaapekto ang mga issue na ito sa kahusayan ng pagsisikap sa marketing na nagdudulot ng pagbaba ng mga benta, kamalayan sa brand o pakikilahok ng mga customer. The following are some instances of marketing choices that may call for policies. So first, to make advantage or exclusive dealership or a variety of distribution methods. Second, using a lot, a little, or none at all. Third, to restrict or not the proportion of business done with our particular client. And also number 4, either to set the price or to track it. Fifth, to provide a full of limited warranty. 6, to compensate salespeople using a straight salary, a straight commission, or a salary commission combination, whether to promote online. So, Here po is the also have 6 instance of marketing choices that may call for policies. Kumbaga ito pong 6 na ito ay kumbaga policy na kung anong produkto or company na mag-iisip ka na muna, or kumbaga ito po yung guide para maintindihan mo pa yung pag-apply nito sa iba-ibang gusto mong desisyon. Dito na din nakalagay lahat ng pinaka-important na mai-apply mo sa produkto or product na may implement mo, or yun nga po yung magugustuhan mo ba. So next po is other functional issues. Advertising media. Advertising media refers to the various channels or platforms used to deliver advertising messages to target audiences. These media channels serve as vehicles for communicating marketing messages, promoting products or services or ideas. These are the example of advertising media. So, relate po tayo dito is the first print. The first po is print media. Also have newspapers, magazines, launchers, flyers. A second, broadcast media, television, radio. The next naman po is about importance of market segmentation. Number 1, market expansions, product innovations, market penetration is diversification strategies must be effectively implemented. Number 2, it enables a business to function with little funding. Number 3, it allows small business to compete with the big businesses. So for me, as of my explanation po, kung ito po ay mai-apply sa strategy implementation, sabihin na po natin na may importance ito. Hindi lang po importance, kumbaga based on my understanding po, kung sa pagsasama-samahin ng segmentasyon ng merkado sa pagpapatupad ng diskarte, maaaring mapabuti ang mga negosyo, ang mga rekurso, mapataas ang kasiyahan ng customer, at mapanatili ang paglago. Market segmentation decisions directly affect marketing mix variables. So, yun nga po, may table na po dito, kumbaga, dito na po napaloob sa gitna ang marketing mix. Product, first po is product, the second is price, the third po is promotion, and the fourth is place. So, ito po yung providing po ako ng ito po yung table po niya. So, all about this table po, and kunyari, may as of my example is sa marketing mix, also known as the 4 P's, is fundamental marketing framework consisting of the 4 key elements. So, here are the 4 key elements of marketing mix. So, nga po, first is product. Ano ang ibebenta ng iyong kumpanya, mga kalakal o serbisyo. A second is price. Ang halaga ng binabayaran ng mga customer para sa iyong produkto. So, kung dito po sa second is, kumbaga yung presyo ng produkto mo, or ilan ba to, or magkano ba. So, the third is promotion. Mga diskarte sa komunikasyon upang maabot ang target ng madla, advertising, sales, public relation. Kumbaga dito is, ikaw na mismo yung magdidiskarte, kung paano makipag-communicate sa tao, kung paano ba ito maibenta o may abot ang target. Kumbaga sa pinaka-high levels na may inaabot kayong high product or sabihin na nating pasikatan kung baga. So, yun nga. So, willing ka dito makipag-relation sa customer para bilhin ng product na iyong naisipan. So, yun po. Pang-apat po is place. Kunwari po dito is example po natin yung retail, online, or wholesale po. Sa ngayon po is mas na po yung sa online selling, kung ikaw na ba mag-decision kung sa online mo po ba ito ibebenta or sa personal po sa mga tao para po mabenta mo ng maayos ng hindi ka po malugi. And kung sa online po ito is ikaw na po bahala mag-decide kung ano ang mas may kabubuti sa product na napili mo po. So, that is the end of my part. So, hope you understand po and thank you po and have a good day po.
Okay, so let's talk about what is product positioning. Okay, so I'll give an example kung ano po ba ang product positioning. Okay, so when we say product positioning create a unique product image, highlighting benefits and features to differentiate it from competitors and influence perceptions. Okay, so sa madaling sabi, ang product positioning, ito'y naglalayong makuha ang atensyon ng mga customers o mamimili upang mahingkaya silang piliin ang isang product o bilhin ito. Okay, so just like for example na lang po is yung Apple Company na kung saan maganda o maayos ang product positioning nila wherein ang iPhone ay mayroong premium or mataas na kalidad ng smartphones na may makabagong technology at eleganteng disenyo. Okay, so sa pamamagitan ng positioning ito, ay binibigyan din na ang iPhone ay mayroong superior na performance unlike doon sa ibang smartphones. Okay, so the action listed below must be taken in order to place a product. Okay, so first one, choose important characteristics that successfully distinguish items or services within the sector. Okay, so dito, kapag nagpa-product positioning tayo, we need to focus on quality, innovation, brand reputation, customer services, price, design, sustainability, and customization. Okay, so because the characteristic create a unique value proposition upang makagawa ng isang product o services na mas attractive sa ating mga target audiences and also setting them apart from competitors. Okay, so yun. So, second one is a two-dimensional product placement map with predetermined criteria in each axis should be represented. Okay, so dito, ito raw ay mahalagang kasangkapan or tool para makita kung paano nakaposisyon ang produkto sa merkado na nakakatulong sa isang negosyo na mas maunawaan ang kanilang mga kakulangan or weaknesses upang makagawa silang ng mas mahusay na pagpaplano na mas epektibong estratehiya sa larangan ng marketing industry. Okay, so next is plot the good or services or the main rivals in the resulting four-quadrant matrix. Okay, so dito, tinutukoy dito kung sa papaano bang paraan makakalamang ang isang negosyo sa pamamagitan ng mga gamit ng 4 matrix. or some 4-quadrant matrix. Okay? So, sa pamamagitan ng matrix na ito'y nakakatulong upang ma-visualize ang posisyon ng mga kakumpetensya. Okay? So, dahil dito, makakagawa ang isang negosyo ng isang magandang estratehiya o oportunidad upang makalamang o makaangat sa kakumpetensya nito. Okay, so next is determine the regions of positioning map where the company's goods or services called have the best chance of competing in the specified target market. Okay, so pumili daw ng magandang lugar, okay, na kung saan pwedeng maging patok ang iyong products. Okay, so for example na lang po is meron tayong meltihan. Okay, so ang unang iisipin natin, saan ba mabenta o sino ba ang mahilig sa milk tea? Okay, so syempre ang unang papasok sa mga pukote natin is yung mga estudyante. So ngayon, saan ba matatagpuan ang mga estudyante? Syempre, commonly malamang sa paaralan. So it means doon magandang magtayo ng meltian sa may malapit sa paaralan. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so next is create a marketing strategy to effectively position the company's goods and services. Okay, so paano ba tayo makakagawa ng magandang marketing strategy? Okay, so first is identify your target audience. Okay, so kailangan malaman muna natin kung sino ba yung audiences natin. And analyze competitors. So, yun. Kailangan natin pag-aralan yung mga competitors natin. Kung saan ba sila malakas o kung ano ba ang advantage nila or weaknesses nila. Okay, so then, define our unique value proposition. So, syempre, alamin din natin kung saan din ba tayo mahina, kung ano din ba yung mga advantage natin, or kung ano din ba yung kahinaan natin. And craft a compelling brand story. So, kailangan gumawa tayo ng magandang pangalan ng brand. Yung kaakit-akit sa mata ng mga audiences natin. And develop consistent messaging. Okay, so yun. Gumawa din tayo ng isang mensahe na tatatak sa mga customers natin. Okay, so for example na lang po is kape yung brand natin. Okay, so halimbawa is yung Nescafe. Okay, so doon sa pack ng Nescafe, may nakalagay doon, kapit busy para sa pagbangon. Okay, so parang ganun lang po siya. Okay, so pag gumawa tayo ng product, kailangan may mensahe din tayong kailangan tatatak sa ating mga customers. Okay. And choose the right marketing channel. Okay, so dito, pwedeng digital marketing like social media o di naman kaya traditional marketing like ads, TV, and radio. And encourage with your customers. So dito, encourage customer feedback and use it to refine your product and services. And then, yung customer support. So, provide excellent customer services to build a strong relationship and enhance brand loyalty. Okay, so by following this step, you can effectively position your company, goods and services, and the market, ensuring they stand out and attract the right customers. Okay. Okay, so moving on to finance accounting issues. Okay, so first is to raise money via common stock, preferred stock, long-term debt, or short-term debt. Okay, so ang isang kumpanya raw ay nakakakuha ng pera sa iba't ibang paraan. Okay, so for example natin dito, yung pagpapabili ng common stock. Okay, so by the way, when we say common stock, ito yung shares ng isang kumpanya na pwede mong bilhin. And when you purchase common stock, you become a partial owner of the company because common stock represent ownership in a company. So magkakaroon ka ng rights para mag-decide. But through votings nga lang. Kasi syempre, hindi lang ikaw yung owner doon. Syempre, madami kayo niyan kasi isa siyang organization. Okay, so let's talk about preferred stock. Okay, so preferred stock offer fixed dividends or shareholders. Pero wala silang rights for voting o makialaman lang sa pinag-uusapan ng mga board members. Okay? So next is yung long-term debt. So long-term debt involves borrowing for extended period with regular interest payment. Okay, so yon pang matagalang utang but regular yung pagbabayad ng interest. And lastly is short-term debt. Short-term debt like bank loans and borrowed for short-term duration typically has higher interest rate. Okay, so dito, nakakahiram ng pera sa maikling panahon but mas mataas naman ang interest rate kaysa doon sa long-term debt. Next is purchasing or leasing fixed assets. Okay, so purchasing fixed asset means owning them outright while leasing involve renting them for asset period. Purchasing offer ownership and long-term cost savings, while leasing provide flexibility and lower upfront cost. Okay, so for example na lang, no, imagine you need a new computer for your business. You have two option, okay? First option is buy it, bilhin natin to. And second option is lease it or mag-rent na lang tayo. Okay, so if you buy it, you pay a big amount upfront to own the computer completely. Okay? So, bibilihin mo siya pero sasayo na siya. Kaso yun nga lang, kailangan mo ng perang malaki agad. Kailangan maglabas ng pera. Okay, so you get to keep it forever and you're in charge of fixing it. If anything breaks or list it, okay, so ito na, list it. You pay a smaller amount every month to use the computer for set period like 3 years. Okay? After that time, you can either return it or buy it. Okay? So, pwede mo siyang ibalik or bilhin mo na lang siya. Okay? The company that owns the computers is responsible for fixing it if it breaks. Okay? So, yung company naman ang pwedeng or kapag nasira yung computer, yung company naman ang pwedeng magpapaayos or sila yung dapat magpaayos. Okay, so which better? Okay, so alin ba sa dalawa yung pinakamagandang options? Okay, so kung ako lang yung tatanungin nyo, pipiliin kong bilhin kasi magagamit ko siya for a long time. Then makakasave tayo niyan ng pera in the long run because you're not paying monthly fees, but yun nga lang, we need a bigger amount of money upfront. Okay, so kailangan natin ng pera ng malaki, ng agad-agaran. Ganun. Pero choose na din yun. Choose nyo yun kung alin pipiliin nyo sa dalawa. Kung mag-rent na lang kayo o bibili na lang kayo. Depende sa sitwasyon kasi yan. Okay, so next one, to choose a suitable dividends payout ratio. Okay, so when we say dividends payout, ito'y tumutukoy sa bahagi ng kita ng isang kumpanya na pinaghahati-hatian ng mga shareholders bilang dividends or shares. Okay, kumbaga, yun yung dilihensya nila. Okay, so for example na lang po is kung ang isang kumpanya is kumikita ng 1 milyon at nagbabayad ng 400,000, ang dividends payout ratio ay maaaring 40%. So, yun yung hahati-hatiin nila. Then yung matitira, yun ulit yung isisimula nilang palaguin or pamumuhunan. Okay, so nakadepende na din sa kanila kung mataas ba or mababa ang kukunin nila sa shares nila. But based lang sa mga nabasa ko to online is mas better daw kung around 35% to 55% ang kukuning shares dahil it is often considered healthy. Okay, so indicating a balance between shareholders, rewards, and reinvestment. Okay, so yun. Understanding dividends payout is crucial for investor as it helps them assess a company's financial health, growth, potential, and commitment to shareholder return. Okay, so next is to employ a market value accounting method, LIFO, or last in first out, and FIFO, or first in first out, or both. Okay, so ang LIFO at FIFO ay mga paraan ng pagkwenta ng halaga ng mga produkto sa inventory na nakakaapekto sa kung paano natin nakikita ang halaga ng isang negosyo. Okay, so ang LIFO ay pinapalagay dito na ang pinakabagong nabiling product ang unang ibibenta. Sa panahon ng pagtaas ng presyo, ito ay nagresulta sa mas mataas na gastos na maaaring magpababa ng kita ng isang negosyo. Then, ang FIFO naman ay ipinapalagay naman dito na ang mga pinakamatandang product ang unang ibibenta. Sa ganitong paraan, kadalasang mas mababa ang gastos na nagresulta sa mas mataas na kita. Okay, so for example na lang po, meron akong isang maliit na bakery. So, bumili ako ng 100 kilo ng harina sa halagang 20 pesos sa bawat kilo noong nakaraang linggo. Then, bumili ulit ako ng 100 kilo ng harina sa halagang 25 pesos sa bawat kilo ngayong linggo. So, sa ilalim ng LIFO, ang 100 kilo na nabili ko ngayon linggo ang unang gagamitin ko para sa paggawa ng tinapay. Kaya ang gastos ng harina ay umabot sa 25 pesos bawat kilo. Okay, so sa ilalim naman ng FIFO, ang 100 kilo na nabili ko noong nakaraang linggo, yun yung unang gagamitin ko. Kaya ang gastos ng harina ay 20 pesos sa bawat kilo. Okay. Okay, so ang viewpoint ko lang dito ay yung inflation. Okay, so sa panahon ng pagtaas ng presyo, ang LIFO ay nagreresulta sa mas mataas na gastos na maaaring magpababa ng kita ng isang negosyo. Then, ang FIFO naman ay nagreresulta sa mas mababang gastos na maaaring magpataas ng kita. Okay, so yun. So next one is to prolong the period during which account are due. Okay, so dito po is maaari tayong makipag-usap sa ating mga customer tungkol sa mas madaling paraan sa pagbabayad. Pwede din po tayong mag-alok ng mga plano na kung saan ang malaking halaga ay maaaring hatiin sa mas maliit na bahagi o pahabain ang panahon mula sa karaniwang 30 days. Okay? So, mahalaga din siguraduhin malinaw ang mga kasunduan upang hindi magkaroon ng mga problema. Okay? Maaari ka ring magbigay ng diskwentos sa mga nagbabayad ng maaga para hikayatin silang magbayad agad. Okay? So, halimbawa po is may customers kayo na may utang sa inyo ng 5K na dapat bayaran sa loob ng 30 days. Okay, so maaari kang mag-alok ng 5% discount kung magbabayad siya sa loob ng 15 days. Okay, so yun. Dahil ang pag-aalok ng mga ganitong optional ay nakakatulong sa mga customers na mas madaling magbayad. Okay? Mahalagang mapanatili ang magandang relasyon sa mga customer habang tinitiyak ang maayos na daloy ng pera sa iyong negosyo. Okay, so next one, to set up a certain percentage discount on account within the determined time frame. Okay, so to implement the discount strategy, establish a specific percentage off for account during designated time frame. Okay, so first, determine the discount percentage based on business objectives and customer engagement goals. Okay, so next is set clear start and end dates for the discount promotion to create urgency. Communicate the offer effectively through various channels such as email, social media, and your website. Ensuring all customers are informed, and also monitor the promotion performance to gauge its effectiveness and adjust future strategies accordingly. This approach does only incentivize purchases but also enhance customer loyalty within the specified period. Okay, so for example na lang po is mayroon kang tindahan ng damit. Okay, So, maaari kang mag-alok ng 20% off sa lahat ng damit sa loob ng isang linggo. Okay, so ipagpalagay na natin ito'y bilang sales alert 20% off. So, lahat ng damit mula November 28 hanggang December 4. Okay, so gamitin natin ang social media para i-post ang promo at magpadala ng email sa mga regular na customer para masigurado na alam nila yung in-offer mo. So, sa ganitong paraan, maaari kang makaakit ng mas maraming tao na bumili sa iyong tindahan at mapataas ang iyong kita. Okay, so next is calculate how much cash you should have on hand. So, to determine the optimal cash on hand, assess your business operation expenses and cash flow needs. You start by calculating your average monthly expenses, including rent, utilities, salaries, and inventory costs. Next, evaluate your sales cycle to understand how quickly cash flow. In a common guidelines is to maintain cash reserves equal to 3 to 6 months of operating expenses. Additionally, consider the second fluctuation and unexpected expenses that may arise. Okay, regularly review your cash position and adjust as necessary to ensure you can meet obligation while having enough liquidity for growth opportunities. Okay, so this approach promotes financial stability and preparedness. Okay, so for example po is kung ang average ng buwan ng gastos ng iyong tindahan ay 50,000 at ang iyong sales cycle ay sa 30 days. Okay, so maaari kang magkaroon ng cash on hand ng 150,000 hanggang 250,000. Ito ay dahil ang 150,000 ay katumbas ng 3 buwan ng iyong operation. Okay, operation expenses. Habang ang 250,000 ay katumbas ng 5 buwan. So, it means kung may ganito kang cash, kaya mong masustentuhan ang negosyo mo sa loob ng 3 or 5 months dahil if in case man humina ang kita o may biglaan pangangailangan, kaya mo pa rin mapanatili ang operasyon ng iyong negosyo. Okay, so sa ganitong paraan, magkakaroon ka ng sapat na cash upang makatugunan ang iyong mga pang-araw-araw na gastos at magkaroon pa ng reserve na pera para sa mga hindi inaasahang pangangailangan. Okay, so next is acquiring capital to implement strategies. Okay, so dito yung debt versus equity, decision EPS, EPIT analysis, or earning per share, earning before interest, and taxes analysis. Okay, so EPS, EBIT analysis is a financial tool used to evaluate impact on debt versus equity, financing on company earnings per share. EPS, it is involved calculating EPS on different levels or earning before interest and taxes EBIT to determine how change in capital structure affects shareholder returns. Okay, by comparing various financing scenarios, firm can assess the risks and potential rewards associated with debt, which can increase financial leverage versus equity, which avoid interest obligations. Okay, so this analysis helps management make informed decisions that align with their financial strategies and risk tolerance, balancing the trade-offs between profitability and financial risk. Okay, so For example po is may isang bakery ng tinapay. So, gusto nilang palawakin ng kanilang negosyo para makagawa ng mas maraming tinapay. Okay, so may dalawa silang option para magawa nila ito. First is pwede nilang mahiram ng pera sa bangko pero kailangan nila itong bayaran ng may patong o may interest. Then yung second option naman is magbenta sila ng kanilang shares. So, maaring magbenta sila ng shares sa kanilang bakery. So, sa isang investor, no, magbenta sila ng shares. So, syempre, kailangan din nilang bahagian ng magiging kita yung investors. Okay, so ang ABS or EBIT, okay, so when we say EBS or EBIT, ito ay para tignan kung alin sa dalawang paraan ang mas maganda para sa iyong kumpanya. Okay, so kung maghihiram sila ng pera sa bangko, maaring mas malaki ang kita nila dahil mas maraming tinapay ang maibibenta nila, pero kailangan nilang magbayad ng interest sa bangko. At kung magbebenta naman sila ng shares ng bakery, maaring mas mababa ang kita nila dahil siyempre kailangan nilang bahagian ang kanilang investors pero hindi na nila kailangan magbayad ng interest. Okay, so dahil ang pag-aanalisa ng ABS or EBIT ay tumutulong sa bakery na makita kung alin sa dalawang paraan ang mas maganda para sa isang negosyo, pero ito'y nakadepende pa rin sa kanilang mga layunin at kakayahan. Maaari nilang piliin ang paraan na mas magbibigay sa kanila ng mas malaking kita at mas mainam sa isang negosyo. Okay, so next is project financial statement. Okay, so there are the steps in preparing project financial statement. Okay, so first is establish the income statement before the balance sheet forecast sales.
Financial budget. A financial budget is a written plan that outlines how money will be raised and spent over a given time period. Although a budget can cover a length of time from 1 day to more than 10 years, annual budgets are the most typical. Financial budgeting is essentially a mechanism for defining what has to be done to properly implement the plan. Financial planning should be viewed as a strategy for maximizing the efficiency and profitability of an organization's resources, rather than as a way to control spending. Financial budgets may be thought of as the planned distribution of a company's resources based on future projections. There are 7 types of budgets. First is cash budget. A cash budget is a plan that estimate the projected cash inflows and outflows for a certain time. These cash inflows and outflows consist of money taken in and spent as well as money received and spent on loans. In other words, a cash budget is a projected estimate of the amount of cash the business will have in the future. There are components of a cash budget. First, cash inflows. This includes revenue from sales, collections, and other sources of cash. Second, cash outflows. These include payments for expenses, debt repayment, and other uses of cash. And last, net cash flow. This is the difference between cash inflows and outflows. Next is operating budget. Operating budget is an estimate of the income and expenditure of a company or organization over a set period. It it helps in keeping a track of the income and expenses. It also control the expenses, while it also encourages working hard and achieving the ambitious target of sale. The operating budget is typically prepared on a yearly basis and is usually part of a larger financial plan. It outlines the organization's projected income and expenses for a specific period. The third is sales budget. The sales budget is management's estimate of sales for a future financial period. A business uses sales budgeting to set department goals, estimate earnings, and forecast production requirements. Fourth is profit budget. A projected financial estimate for a company's net income is called a profit budget. An executive manager in charge of forecasting a company's future financial performance could create a profit budget to give a credible projection of total earnings so that the business and its investors can evaluate how well it is achieving its financial targets. Factory budget or manufacturing budget. Factory budget or manufacturing budget is a set of 3 budgets that estimate the cost of the direct within the production budget. In other words, manufacturing budget estimates how much it will cost the company to produce the number of products included the production budget. Capital 6 is capital budget. Capital budget is budget allocating money for the acquisition or maintenance of fixed assets such as land, building, and equipment. And the last is expenses budget. Expenses budget or expenditure budget helps businesses track purchases and limit operating costs to the lowest possible amount. Now let's proceed to evaluating the worth of a business. There are 3 main approaches that can be used to classify all the various techniques for estimating a company's value. What a company owns, what a company makes, and what a company will sell. Dito po sa what a company owns, dito po yung may sarili po silang designs, tapos and yun, product and designs. Tapos sa what a company makes, yun na po, yun dito na po yung ginagawa yung iba't ibang design na, for example sa Nike company, ginagawa po dito na po ginagawa yung mga iba't ibang designs, iba't ibang product ng sapatos. Then dito naman po sa what a company will sell, dito na po yung dito na po yung mga sapatos, iba't ibang sapatos na binibenta sa Nike company. Moving on to the next topic, method for determining a value of a business. Number 1, calculating the investor's equity and net worth. Common stocks, additional paid-in capital, and retained earnings are all added up to form net value, and or deduct the necessary amount for goodwill, overpriced or undervalued assets, and intangibles after computing net worth. While copyrights, patents, and trademarks are examples of intangibles, goodwill may only be created when a company spends more than the book value to purchase another company. Number 2, the idea that companies' valuation should be mostly dependent on the potential future advantages its owners may get through net earnings gives rise to methods for valuing companies. A conservative guidelines is to multiply a company's currently yearly earnings by 5 to determine its value. Number 3, price earnings ratio method. To use this approach, multiply the result of the firm's average net income over the previous 5 years by the market price of the common stocks of the company divided by its yearly earning per share. Last is outstanding shares method. Simply add a premium to the number of shares outstanding multiplied by the market price per share to apply the approach. The premium is simply the financial amount per share that an individual or business is ready to spend to the control of acquire the rival business.
So, good morning, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. Our topic for today is about research and development issues. Put the emphasis on process or product improvement. Instructing rules, adding personnel, providing enchanted training, and fostering a positive work environment can approve evidences. Collaboration. And number 2 po is focus on fundamental or practical research. Example, research on impact of climate change on coral reef or worldwide climate change and their effect on ecosystem research, employment lives, and importance of focusing on both fundamental practical research to address pressing global challenges. And number 3, be innovators or imitations in R&D. Example, Apple creation of the first smartphone innovation, how people interact with technology. This highlighted in importance of innovation in driving technology advancement and market disruption. Number 4 po is create robotic or manual procedures. Example, the manual production of slippers by artisans using traditional methods of demonstrates the value of craftsmanship and skill. However, incorporating technology can enhance events of productivity. Number 5 po is spend a little or nothing at all on R&D. Horizontal companies invest heavily in R&D to develop new aircraft, rocket, and space exploration technology. The investment drive innovation and the source contracts for governments and organizations. Number 6 po, R&D can be done in-house or by hiring outside companies. Sample, pharmaceutical companies often establish internal laboratories to develop new drugs, allowing the to control the entire research and development process and protect their intellectual priority. Number 7 po is employ research from university or the private sector. University research prioritize expanding knowledge and understand of the world through fundamental 3 major and approaches for implementing strategies. Number 1, to launch innovative technical item first. The smart relevation communication information access and entertainment by combining the capabilities of phones, computers, and camera in a compact device. The invention of touchscreen internet connectivity and mobile app innovate and smartphone development. Example, the first iPhone launched 2007 sparked the widespread adoption of smart globally. Number 2 po is becoming a creative copycat of successful good to reduce start-up cost and hazard. Example, explanation is This approach involves copy and core features of product but modifying branding, packaging, or pricings to differentiate it from the original. The goal is capture market share from original product at a lower price or in a different target market. Example, a company product producing a generic version of popular drug. The drug has the same active ingredient, but the branding and price are different. Okay. Number 3 po is to make good in at the cheap cost that are comparable to and least expensive. The reviews silly releasing goods. Explanation. Generic brands are products similar to branded product but are cheaper because they do not pay for advertising and marketing. Generic brands often use simpler packaging and branding. Example, generic medication, cleaning product, and food item are example of generic brands. And next po is management operation. MI issues. Number 1, information collection, file, and storage. Number 1, MI acts as a repository of information, gathering data from various resources, storing and organizing an accessible format. This data can come for sale, inventory, finance, employee records, and business operation. Example, an MIs and store may collect data from point of sale POS, terminals, inventory system, customer survey. This data can be used to track sales, inventory levels, and customer preferences. Number 2, keeping the managers informed. A sales manager in detail through MIS, including total sales, sales by product category, sales by location, customer demographics. And number 3 po is coordination of activities among divisions. Explain. A company different division can use MIS to facilitate coordination, communication. Product division, manufacturing product based on customer orders. Sales division sells product to customer and receivers order. Finance division managing the company's finance, include payments, accounting, and reporting. And number 4 po is allow firm to reduce cost. Information system can provide managers with better access to make more informed improved decision making can lead to reduced waste, more effective resource utilization, and higher profit. So, yun lang po.